You are not here by chance. This video appeared at the right time for you. Maybe you're tired of chasing, sending messages, and receiving silence or lukewarm replies. And believe me, I know exactly how much that hurts. Maybe lately you've noticed that no matter how hard you try, she seems distant, and every message you send only increases the feeling of emptiness. You ask yourself, does she miss me? And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. What feels desperate now may be the sign that you're about to turn the tables. Imagine transforming this frustration into power, making her miss you without you having to say a single word. Sounds impossible? Stay with me, and I'll show you how.
Before we continue, I need to tell you something. This video only reached you because someone liked it and subscribed to our channel. Now it's your turn to do the same. Leave a like, subscribe, and hit the bell so this chain of knowledge keeps growing and reaching more people. Also, comment down below which city you're watching from, because I want to know how far this video is traveling. Now, no more delays, let's get to the good stuff.
First way, don't send messages under any circumstances. Take a deep breath and understand something fundamental. Every message you send without a reply is like pouring gasoline on a fire you're fueling yourself. The moment you stop communicating, stop sending those messages hoping for a reaction, you start to regain power over yourself and the situation. It's in the silence that her perception of you begins to change, because when all she had was your constant virtual presence, the sudden absence creates curiosity and, to a certain extent, regret. Stopping messages is the foundation for her to start missing you without you having to beg or insist. Many men confuse persistence with love or interest, but the reality is brutally simple. The more you chase, the more she distances herself. Absence is the most efficient way to show value. By no longer writing, you demonstrate that your life doesn't depend on her attention and that you have your own priorities, a pattern that naturally awakens respect and interest. It's as if, suddenly, you become an enigma. She knows you exist, but she can't control or predict your actions. And that uncertainty creates attraction. Furthermore, by not sending messages, you avoid creating a cycle of frustration that undermines your self-confidence. Every unanswered message is a reminder of your attachment and neediness, and that's precisely what prevents her from genuinely missing you. The silence allows the emotional space to reorganize, opening the way for her to realize how much your presence makes a difference in her life. You don't need to force feelings, just create the conditions for them to emerge naturally. Finally, this method requires discipline and patience. It's not just about stopping sending messages. It's about internalizing that absence has a strategic purpose. Every day that passes without you making contact strengthens your emotional and psychological position while creating space for her to reflect on what she has lost. Remember, absence is not about punishment, it's about power. And it's precisely this silent power that makes her start to genuinely miss you.
If you're tired of watching her play games, ignore you, and do whatever she wants with your feelings, it's time to show who's in charge of the game. It's time to make her chase you and recognize your true value. In the first pinned comment, I've left a step-by-step guide on how to make her pursue you. Plus, you'll level up and become the best version of yourself. Click now.
Second way, don't like anything on her social media. Every like you send may seem harmless, but it's actually like leaving a note that says, "I'm here, paying attention to you." When you completely stop interacting on her social media, something changes without you having to say a word. She starts to notice the absence of signals that were once constant, and this lack awakens curiosity and a silent perception of value. What seemed normal turns into a space she misses filling, and that's exactly where the game changes in your favor. Interacting on social media transmits immediate availability, which diminishes the perception of power you need to maintain. By refraining from liking photos, commenting on stories, or reacting to posts, you demonstrate that your attention has value and isn't available at any time. This simple gesture of absence makes her start reflecting on your presence and, without realizing it, makes her give more importance to your life and your time. It's the silent effect of respect that comes from strategic distance. Furthermore, silence on social media allows you to focus on yourself and your own accomplishments. Every like you don't give is a step toward becoming a more independent and confident person, someone who doesn't seek external approval. This strategic withdrawal creates emotional space for her to realize how unique and valuable you are, without you having to say or justify anything. It's the power of absence working invisibly. Finally, this method requires consistency. It's not just about not liking something today and going back on it tomorrow. It's a real commitment to your own presence and stance. The firmer you remain, the more natural the feeling of missing you will become. Remember, social media are just reflections of real life, and strategic silence creates a magnetic force that messages or hints could never generate. Third way, ignore holidays and special dates. Special dates can seem harmless, but sending messages on these occasions is one of the biggest mistakes when the goal is to make her miss you. By ignoring birthdays, holidays, or dates that usually generate expectations, you demonstrate that your attention is not automatic and that your value does not depend on conventions. This subtly changes her perception of you. What once seemed common now becomes a noticeable absence, and this lack awakens reflection and curiosity about your life. Many men believe these messages are gestures of affection or care, but in reality, when used without strategy, they reinforce predictability and emotional dependence. By abstaining, you send a powerful message without saying anything. You are present, but at your own pace and on your own terms. This stance creates a field of mystery and attractiveness because she begins to realize that she has no control over your attention and that you don't act just to please or gain validation. Ignoring special dates also helps break emotional patterns. She starts to associate these moments not with your automatic gestures, but with the strategic absence that awakens interest and increases your perceived value. Every date you choose not to interact on becomes a small subconscious alert. She feels that something has changed, that you are no longer available as before, and this naturally makes her reflect on your presence and what she has lost. Ultimately, it's important to understand that this gesture isn't about coldness or revenge, but about positioning and self-worth. Staying firm and consistent, even on emotionally charged dates, demonstrates maturity and emotional control, two qualities that silently increase attraction. Over time, this strategic absence makes her genuinely miss you, without you having to say a word or seek direct attention. Fourth way, don't deliberately show up at places she frequents. It might be tempting to show you're still present in her life by showing up where she usually goes, but this kind of attitude often has the opposite effect of what you want. Deliberately showing up conveys obsession and neediness, breaking all the value you built with your absence. When you maintain physical distance and don't force encounters, you create a natural space that allows her to miss you organically, without realizing you are manipulating the situation. Strategic absence in the places she frequents also generates curiosity and emotional tension. She starts to wonder, why didn't he show up? Where is he? Is he moving on? This questioning is extremely powerful because it activates her mind, making thoughts of you arise spontaneously. Every moment you choose not to show yourself, you strengthen the perception of value she has of you without having to say anything. Furthermore, this stance demonstrates emotional control and self-sufficiency. When you're busy living your own life and aren't making yourself available to her, you become more attractive effortlessly. The silence and distance create an opportunity for reflection and appreciation. She realizes you have your own path, that you don't depend on her to feel complete, and that awakens genuine respect and interest. Finally, maintaining this consistency requires discipline. It's not just an isolated action, but a pattern of behavior that reinforces your strategic absence. The firmer you remain, the more natural the feeling of missing you will become. Remember, controlled absence is like an invisible magnetic field. You don't need to show up or interact to exert influence. Just your imagined presence creates desire and curiosity. Fifth way, don't ask friends to deliver messages. Many men fall into the temptation of using third parties to convey messages hoping to maintain some connection. But this is a serious mistake. When you involve friends to speak for you, you transmit fragility and neediness, showing that you can't control your own emotions. The strategic absence loses its strength, and the perception of value you are building quickly dissipates. It's fundamental that all contact is natural and chosen by you, never forced through intermediaries. By not resorting to intermediaries, you maintain total control over your life's narrative. She doesn't know what you're thinking, where you are, or how you're living, and this creates a powerful mystery. This space allows her imagination to fill in the gaps, and often, her mind creates scenarios where your presence is more desired than it would be if you were constantly sending signals through others. Furthermore, avoiding intermediaries protects your self-esteem and emotional integrity. Every time you ask someone to intercede for you, even with good intentions, you reinforce a pattern of emotional dependence that diminishes attraction. Staying firm in your absence, letting silence and time speak for you, shows maturity, confidence, and self-worth, characteristics that naturally awaken interest and respect. Finally, this method requires consistency and patience. It's not just an isolated gesture, but a continuous posture that reinforces strategic absence. The more you avoid any kind of mediation, the more she realizes you have a life of your own and don't depend on her approval. And it's precisely this independence and silent strength that makes her start to genuinely and inevitably miss you. Sixth way, be firm in your absence, without relapses. Staying firm in your absence is the heart of any strategy to make her miss you. Every relapse, every message sent impulsively, undermines all the silent work you are building. Power is born from consistency. By resisting the urge to make contact, you demonstrate emotional control, maturity, and self-worth, qualities that naturally awaken respect and attraction. Absence only works when it is genuine and continuous, without exceptions. Firmness creates a pattern that both your mind and hers recognize. She starts to realize that you don't react emotionally to every impulse, that you are not immediately available, and that your attention has value. This behavior generates curiosity and reflection because she suddenly realizes she can't predict your actions and that you don't depend on her to feel complete. Each day that passes without contact increases the effect of silence, making the feeling of absence more intense. Furthermore, constant absence strengthens your own self-esteem. Resisting the temptation to send messages or seek answers is an exercise in emotional discipline that reinforces your independence. When you place yourself above the need for immediate approval, you transform her perception of you. From someone accessible at any moment, you become someone who has their own life, goals, and focus, and that naturally increases attraction. Finally, firmness in absence creates space for mutual appreciation. She starts to realize that your presence is not guaranteed and that every interaction with you carries weight and meaning. This pattern of consistency makes her reflect on her attitudes, feelings, and choices, awakening the genuine feeling of missing you. Remember, absence without relapses is the most powerful silent weapon you have to generate desire and recognition without having to say a single word. Seventh way, let emptiness and silence speak for you. Silence is one of the most powerful tools you can use to create desire. When you stop filling every space with messages, likes, or displays of attention, you create a void that naturally draws her attention. This void works as an emotional mirror. She begins to reflect on your absence, feel what she no longer feels, and realize the impact you had on her life. Silence transforms into presence without needing words. Furthermore, strategic emptiness generates curiosity and emotional tension. She starts to wonder, is he okay? Why hasn't he reached out? What has changed? Every moment of absence is a silent reminder that you are no longer immediately available, and this increases the perceived value of your presence. Silence is more eloquent than any message or gesture. It leaves space for her imagination to work in your favor, making the feeling of absence arise naturally. Allowing silence to speak also demonstrates confidence and emotional control. While she focuses on your absence, you are living your own life, evolving, and focusing on what matters. This posture creates a contrast that highlights your independence and strengthens your image. You are not a prisoner of her attention, and this makes every future interaction have greater weight and meaning. Finally, mastering emptiness and silence requires discipline and patience. It's not just about being quiet, but understanding that every second of strategic absence increases the effect of missing you that she feels. The firmer you remain, the more she will perceive the difference between before and now, and this creates a silent and irresistible attraction. Silence, when used well, becomes your greatest ally in the art of being remembered without having to say anything. Eighth way, Smile in photos with other people. Showing yourself happy and confident in photos with friends or loved ones is a powerful way to spark interest without having to say a word. When she sees that you are smiling and living well, even in her absence, it creates a contrast with what she feels: curiosity, surprise, and often a pang of regret. This simple action demonstrates that your life continues to be full of positive experiences, making you more attractive in her eyes. Furthermore, this behavior transmits emotional independence. She realizes that you don't depend on her attention or approval to be happy, and this automatically increases the perceived value of your presence. Every genuine smile recorded is a silent message. You are well, confident, and evolving while maintaining a strategic distance. This contrast awakens feelings that no desperate message or gesture could ever provoke. Showing yourself as social and well in photos also triggers curiosity and comparison. She starts to think, "He looks so good without me. Does he miss me? What changed in him?" This questioning makes her mind revisit moments you spent together, strengthening the perception of your absence and increasing the desire for reconnection. It's a form of indirect presence that works subtly but is extremely effective. Finally, smiling in photos with other people reinforces your confidence and self-image. It's not about provoking jealousy or competition, but about showing authenticity and a joy for life. The more natural and consistent you are in this behavior, the more she will perceive the difference between before and now, making your physical and emotional absence have a real and lasting impact. Ninth way, post valuable content, not hints. When you share content that reflects your growth, knowledge, or accomplishments, without including hints for her, you demonstrate evolution and focus on your own life. This generates attraction naturally because it shows you are no longer stuck in a relationship or dependent on external approval. Each post becomes a reflection of your value, making her realize that she has lost contact with someone who is getting better every day. Furthermore, valuable content awakens curiosity and respect. She begins to notice the changes in you, reflecting on what she didn't value or perceive before. Unlike hints, which can generate resistance or rejection, authentic and constructive posts transmit confidence and self-sufficiency. This creates a silent effect, where your evolution becomes more attractive than any attempt to get attention directly. Posting valuable content also strengthens your image with others. By showing your knowledge, skills, or experiences, you position yourself as a person of reference, someone interesting and independent. This positioning increases the desire of those who observe you, including her, because the perception of value becomes clear and consistent. She misses not only your presence, but what you represent. Finally, this method requires coherence and authenticity. It's not about creating posts just to impress, but about sharing genuine parts of your life that reflect your growth. The more you stay true to your personal development, the more natural the effect of absence and perceived value will be. In the end, she misses you not because of manipulation, but because you have become someone worth remembering. 10th way, don't badmouth her to anyone. Avoiding badmouthing her is a powerful way to keep your value and dignity intact. Every negative comment or criticism you share with friends or acquaintances reveals fragility and resentment, diminishing the perception of maturity and self-confidence you need to convey. When you keep silent about problems or frustrations, you demonstrate emotional control and self-respect, and this silently awakens attraction. Furthermore, not bad-mouthing her prevents the narrative about the two of you from being distorted. If you start sharing your version of events, you run the risk of creating an image of emotional dependence or resentment, which only decreases her desire. Strategic absence is strengthened when you maintain integrity. Your story remains yours, without external interference, and she starts to reflect on what she lost without you having to intervene. Staying neutral also reinforces the trust she will have in the future. By realizing that you don't spread criticism or complaints, she perceives that you are a balanced, secure person capable of dealing with difficult emotions without lowering yourself. This posture increases respect and silent attraction, because no one is attracted to someone who loses their composure in the face of adversity. Finally, this method requires consistency and consciousness. Every time you resist the temptation to badmouth her, you reinforce your own image of value and inner strength. Silence about criticism and complaints works like an invisible magnet. She misses you not only for your physical presence, but for the maturity, stability, and integrity you demonstrate even in your absence. 11th way, don't beg for a second chance. Begging for a second chance is one of the biggest mistakes you can make when the goal is to make her miss you. Begging transmits desperation and neediness, destroying all the value you built with your absence and strategic posture. Instead, maintaining firmness and confidence shows that you don't depend on her approval to be complete, and it's precisely this posture that awakens respect and silent attraction. Furthermore, when you don't beg, you create space for reflection. She begins to realize, on her own, what she lost and how much your presence made a difference. Absence becomes even more powerful because there are no attempts at manipulation or control. You simply remain a person of integrity and confidence, allowing her to see the value of what was left behind. Not begging also strengthens your self-esteem and self-sufficiency. Every impulse to seek reconciliation that you control is a step toward becoming emotionally stronger and more independent. This internal balance not only attracts but also conveys that you are someone who knows how to handle rejection without lowering yourself, making your image even more magnetic. Finally, this method requires patience and discipline. Resisting the temptation to plead or seek immediate attention is essential for strategic absence to work fully. The firmer you remain, the more she perceives the difference between before and now. And it's this consistency that makes the feeling of missing you genuine, creating desire without you having to say a single word. 12th way, get closer to people of value. Surrounding yourself with people who add positively to your life is a silent but extremely powerful strategy. By getting closer to those who inspire growth, confidence, and knowledge, you automatically elevate your own perception of value. This not only improves your personal and social life, but also creates an indirect effect on her. She realizes you are evolving, that you don't depend on her for your progress, and this awakens interest and respect effortlessly. Furthermore, the company of valuable people expands your social circle and opportunities, making you more attractive naturally. She starts to notice your shine, your energy, and how you transform when you're around people who positively challenge you. This contrast between what she had before and what you are becoming reinforces the perception of loss, increasing the feeling of missing you organically. Interacting with people who inspire growth also strengthens your mindset and confidence. Every conversation, every experience with these people contributes to your emotional, social, and even professional development. This makes you naturally convey security and magnetism, qualities that no one can fake, but are instantly perceived by those who observe you, including her. Finally, this method requires consistency and authenticity. It's not just about being surrounded by anyone, but consciously choosing those who add value to your life. The more you genuinely connect with inspiring people, the more evident your evolution becomes. And it is this silent transformation that makes her miss you without you having to resort to messages, hints, or forced displays. 13th way, never show signs of neediness. Demonstrating neediness is one of the most common mistakes that ends up pushing away interest and undermining the perception of value. When you avoid any gesture of desperation, whether it's incessant calling, persistent messaging, or obviously seeking attention, you show emotional control and self-sufficiency. This silent posture makes her start to perceive your absence more intensely because you don't make yourself available on every impulse. Furthermore, not showing neediness reinforces your independence and confidence. When you remain stable, even in the face of her distance or silence, you convey that your life has its own meaning and that you don't depend on external validation to be happy. This security awakens natural attraction because confident and self-sufficient people always become more desirable without needing explicit efforts to get attention. Avoiding signs of neediness also protects your self-esteem. Every time you control impulses to seek reconciliation or immediate answers, you strengthen your inner fortitude and learn to value your own time and space. This posture creates silent respect. She realizes that you are not someone who lets themselves be dominated by momentary emotion, but rather someone with emotional stability and a focus on their own evolution. Finally, this method requires continuous discipline. It's easy to give in to the temptation to show feelings or seek reconnection, but every controlled gesture increases the effect of the strategic absence. The more consistent you remain, the more she will miss you genuinely, recognizing your value and the difference between before and now, without you having to intervene directly. 14th way, show up better than before. Showing up better than before doesn't mean flaunting wealth or status, but rather highlighting personal and emotional evolution. Every positive change you implement, whether in your body, mind, habits, or career, conveys that you are not stuck in the past and that your life is still full of achievements and growth. This silent transformation awakens attention and interest because she begins to realize she lost someone who is becoming even more valuable. Furthermore, showing up better than before creates a direct contrast with what she remembers about you. The impact is not in the effort to impress, but in the natural effect of constant evolution. She notices subtle changes in your attitudes, posture, energy, and lifestyle, and this makes her reflect on what she has lost. The attraction intensifies because what once seemed familiar now becomes admirable and, in many cases, irresistible. This posture also reinforces your confidence and self-sufficiency. By focusing on becoming better, you make it clear that your happiness and fulfillment do not depend on her. This behavior is not selfish, but a silent demonstration that you value yourself, and that independence is emotionally irresistible. She realizes that you are not available for just any situation, but are living according to your own value. Finally, this method requires consistency and authenticity. A superficial or temporary change is not enough. It's necessary to evolve in a real and continuous way. The more you stay firm on this path of self-development, the more she will miss you, not just your presence, but the improved version of you that she has started to know, someone who has become impossible to ignore. 15th way, become the best version of yourself until she notices the difference. Transforming into the best version of yourself goes far beyond appearance or external achievements. It's about emotional, mental, and social evolution. When you focus on growing, learning, and strengthening yourself, you demonstrate, silently, that your life has its own purpose and value. This posture makes her notice the difference without you having to say a word, and this perception awakens genuine desire and respect. Furthermore, becoming the best version of yourself creates an aura of confidence and natural magnetism. Every step of evolution, every new habit, every personal achievement works as a silent reminder that you are living life on your own terms. She starts to notice changes in how you behave, how you present yourself, and how you deal with challenges, arousing curiosity and, inevitably, the feeling that something in her was left behind. This process also strengthens your self-esteem and independence. The more you invest in yourself, the less you depend on external validation, including hers. This emotional autonomy makes every future interaction more meaningful and powerful because you don't put yourself in a position of need or dependency. You come to be seen as someone who has evolved, who has a life of their own, and who deserves respect and attention, naturally elevating your perceived value. Finally, this method requires patience, discipline, and consistency. The transformation doesn't happen overnight, but every effort contributes to absence and silence working in your favor. When she finally notices the difference, she feels not only your absence, but also the impact of all the growth you have achieved. And it is at this moment that the effect of your evolution becomes irresistible and undeniable, consolidating your presence in a silent and powerful way. If this video made a difference for you, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Every video we create here is thoughtfully made, always with the goal of helping you develop and achieve your best version. We want to share practical and direct tips that truly have a positive impact on your life. So, don't waste time and comment below with the word gratitude and the phrase, "in search of my best version." With that, the algorithm will take this video to even more men who are looking for growth. Your engagement in the comments is essential for our content to reach those who need these tips most. Also, your support with a like and a subscription to the channel strengthens our work and gives us motivation to continue creating valuable content for your journey. The more you interact, the more men will also have access to this type of information, which only helps our mission to transform lives. So, thank you for being with us on this journey. Stay tuned for the next videos, because we are always bringing new things to help you evolve. A big hug, and see you in the next video.